Okay, this is how I use multiple X accounts to get clients, to get users for my apps, to basically just find people online that I think might be interested in a service or product that I have. It's no guesswork, there's no endless engagement, I'm not stuck on my phone all the time because I need to do other stuff. It's just a repeatable system that lets you post every single day or multiple times a day in your niche, and you can attract inbound clients or grow your audience, personal brand, whatever, right? And you can do that without getting burnt out. So last month we closed 3 clients as part of the agency using the system, and I didn't write any of the posts. All I had to do was oversee the whole end-to-end process, and once it's set up, then it was running. I'll walk you through the full pipeline of how that works, and we'll go from scraping posts to turning them into the voice that you want, and then scheduling them so it's kind of hands-off, and you can get the idea. Just to share a little bit about how this works, for example, here's the analytics from the account. So this has actually only been in place for about the last 4 weeks. I would say maybe 5. But if we look at it over the weekly for the last 4 weeks, we got a start of a new week. Maybe let's look at the 3 months. You can see that we're just kind of continuously trending upwards. That's as this system expands and grows and becomes more refined. And as you add extra layers to this, this is how you can scale it. And I've been able to scale this without really putting too much time into my own X account. And it's been growing. And if we look at the monthly, I do prefer this the most, because what it shows is we're only at the 15th of July at the moment, but we're already past way past half the impressions from previous months. So we're going to get another big month. So the system does work. I'm continuing to scale it, and I'll jump back into this in a few months' time and we can see where we're at. Hopefully we're hitting million+ impression months. Let's go. So section 1, we have to scrape the authority posts. Now you can just go to Twitter and find a particular type of account that you like. Maybe it's this one, if it's doing lots of quotes that get lots of views, or, maybe it's got lots of how-to or whatever type of content you want. For the sake of simplicity, I'm going to do my own account because I would like a way to, if I'm writing my own tweets all of the time, which at the moment I'm not, so this would be pointless, but for the sake of demo, if I'm writing all my tweets all the time, let's say I do 1 month of writing my tweets, I can then capture my own voice using the system and automate it for the rest of time. So the first step is you've got to find the username that you want, and then go to Phantom Buster. You're going to want to set up an account. You're going to want to set up an account here on something called Phantom Buster, and I've included a link in the description. However, we're not just going to set things up in Phantom Buster. We're going to mostly be using the Phantom here once we've set it up. So for example, fetch tweets for a username. This is the Twitter tweet extractor. You just got to set that up. It's very simple to set that up. Once you've set that up, then you're going to connect it to a service called N8N, and then we select the username that you want. So at the moment you can see that that's my username that's set up there, and that means it's going to take the tweets from this username. But don't overcomplicate things. Just take the first creator who matches the tone or the post style that you want. And you can also include old posts. You can manually bring them in if you want to. If you want to be fancy, you can include OpenAI nodes here that classify the formats. Is it a hot take, a mini thread, a quote post? That can be useful later, but for the sake of this demo, I'm not going to do that right now. After this, I'll show you how we can train the GPT on this stack of tweets, but first we need to collect the tweets and then clean them so that we're using the ones that we actually want. In this section here, you can see that I have connected it to the Phantom Buster. This is a Phantom Buster node, and you can see that I've connected it to it. It's going to collect 100 or so tweets. I set the number of tweets to 100, and then it's going to wait for that to execute. Normally 2 to 3 minutes is enough time. We then fetch the response, get the JSON, and then we're ready to filter and enrich the data. Once that comes in, we don't need to be too fancy. We can just take the highest performing, the best performing, most likes, most comments, most impressions, whatever it is that you're most interested in. You don't have to do that, but I normally try to take, the top 50 that are performing very, very well. So let's execute this and see what happens. This is now going to activate the background process in Phantom Buster that's now doing the work for fetching the tweets for the username that we've used. Okay, so I just paused that whilst it was executing because it does take a couple minutes to run through it all, because it takes a couple minutes for Phantom Buster to run in the background, then we have to wait for it to finish, and then we get all the way basically to the end. You can do more tasks here, but for the sake of this, I'm not going to. And you can see if you open this up, what we get is just a bunch of my tweets from the past. So you can see March here was the best performer. Was a simple question. I believe it went actually to a community, so that's also something that you could include. You could check to see if it went to a community, and I've just provided it an engagement score using the likes and the comments, and I've taken the best 50. Simple. Of course, you can change your logic to whatever you want. You can filter by keywords if this is somebody else's Twitter account, not your own. Somebody else's voice, you can see every time they use these particular words, I want to take them. It's up to you. But for the sake of this, I just want to be able to create tweets that sound like my best performers. And this is probably where most people actually mess up, because they just kind of copy and paste everything that they find from X. They just go to, their profile. They just copy and paste all of this and then just paste it in. And they're just like, this is what my voice sounds like, just copy it. But it doesn't really work so well. Okay, with that said, now it's actually time to train a GPT from OpenAI so that it can make posts like me. What we're going to do is we're going to open up ChatGPT. So now we're training the voice, so to say. So it's like my brain, but inside here. We're going to feed it those 50 posts. You could do this automatically, like I said, you can push it more, but we're not really so interested in that. I'm going to need to copy this. There we go. Hopefully that's copied all of them. I need you. And now we're just going to prompt GPT so that it copies my my sorts of posts. Okay, so we've got a massive sample of data. Let's just send that in and hope it doesn't crash. Okay, and let's wait for it to do its thing. People say this won't really help with replies, it just helps with content output, but it also does. You can run basically exactly the same process to create a GPT that is able to reply like you. You can give it formats, you can give it types, and I'll run through that if people want as well in another video at another time. But it's the same strategy, same system. It's just pattern recognition, and that's then something that you can systemize and give to a VA. You can handle it yourself if you want to, whatever you like. Another video, maybe the next one, I can go into way more detail about how you can actually enrich this information, how you can optimize it for different audiences. But I'm just sharing what I do now. And yeah, let's try. We might need to tell it to not include a preamble. Yeah. Let's try again. Okay, so it's gone for like the question format. What's something you built, shipped, or learned this week that your past self would have dreamed of? I think it's got us like 90% of the way there, but you get the idea. The benefit of the process from Phantom Buster is that you just got to be careful about the tweets that you feed it. Probably I should have spent a little bit more time going through the JSON that I just kind of dumped in. But I do think this would be a pretty good post if we just kind of take this bit and chop out the middle. This is probably better. Now we get rid of the like kind of tacky bit from the middle. So now you've got a way to generate all of these posts. Yeah, you can do it manually like this. You can have it outsourced to a VA, and then they can just kind of review it once a week if they've scheduled far enough ahead for you. But how do you actually schedule it? So I'm going to show you how I schedule it. I use BulletSocial. Other schedulers do exist, but they're quite clunky, inferior, and they're built like it's 2019. So all you would do is you open this up. We're going to paste our content in here. Get rid of that horrible line. This is definitely one that I would appropriate to a community. So build in public is fine. Next, X only because it's a community. Let's schedule it for tomorrow. We can pick the time in the morning, save, schedule. So now that that's scheduled, you basically can just repeat the process. You click new post, repeat again, and scale. That way you can scale this across multiple accounts, across your own account, or just abstract yourself so that it's kind of on maintenance mode, growing the account without really too much input from yourself. And then checking the scheduled posts, you can go from there. Now what you have is a full kind of top of funnel system for X. You scrape, you clean, you train it on some subset of posts, and this is kind of going to leverage the AI in at least a smart and safe and kind of reviewable way. You can just run this entire thing, automate it 100% end to end, but without a human in the loop, you're kind of going to end up saying something wrong, getting caught, kind of just building a bit of a ghost town sort of account. At least, as you can see, it takes you about 90% of the way there. So this may just be top of funnel, but it is kind of foundational, and it is also reproducible across a lot of accounts, across a lot of social medias. If you want to see how I'm enriching the data and building a better kind of content system generally inside my agency and also for my personal brand, I'm going to drop that video soon, and I will link it in the description once it's live. If you have any questions, drop them below. I'll respond. And any comments or ideas, I'll make sure I include them in the next system or video or things that we share. Either way, thanks for watching.